Dominic,
Yes.
you're
Hi.
muted. Okay, there you go.
Hey, Dominic.
Hi, Elena. I'm so happy to be with you today. It's such a treat. I have
No, my pleasure.
your book and I watch all your YouTubes and I listen to everything that you and Michael Sala bring forth. And I just, every time I hear you talk, my heart just flies out.
No, thank you.
I had a question about, I read a lot of books and do a lot of research and watch a lot of YouTubes and listen to different people giving their point of view on all the whole ET phenomena. And some of the books I've read talk about abductees going on to spaceships that they describe as being sentient spaceships. And so I'm wondering if you have any information or anything that you can say about sentient spaceships. In other words, what makes them sentient? Is it elemental metal particles? Is it the consciousness of the commander that flies the ship? What is it that makes the spaceship sentient? If you know.
That's a great question. I can really answer this. And so not all spaceships are sentient, of course, depends on the degree of the level of technology. Yes, all the spaceships I've been on were sentient. They had a consciousness, but this consciousness, because it's a ship, it's not a soul. They do not have a soul. They do not have a proper personality, it's artificial intelligence. So they embed the ship with an artificial intelligence that is engineered, is artificial, it's engineered, and it embeds the ship. So the ship has its own way of reacting. So when these ships have the ability to be piloted by thought, that means the pilot is going to connect mind to mind with the AI of the ship, and he will be able to drive the ship. So this connection is made, depends on now the species. Okay, species like, for instance, the Ohorai that we call the Arcturians, or the Egaroth, like my friend Anax, they do not need any technology. They just connect their consciousness to the AI of the ship. But for some other people who are humans, they need technology. They need an implant in their head that is going to interface with the AI. They need technology. Not every race. You can, as a human, interface by driving a ship by thought, but you will always end up by using technology, because you will need to interface physically with the ship. And this physical interface will be like either as putting your hands on a technology that will read your biofield or your electromagnetism, and then by this connection plug you in. But you need then to have the right DNA, the same DNA as the people who built the ship and created the AI. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And you can, yes, you need to have this DNA connection by touching. So yes, it looks sentient. You feel, when you approach such ships, you feel it's alive. It has a life on its own. You feel it, but and it's not organic. It's artificial. But that's what I can say about it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, one of the abductees was taken on a ship, and the people that took her were showing her how the ship functioned, and they took her to the center area of the ship and showed her how it was functioning. And she said that she felt a sense of sadness when she was leaving the ship, as if the ship
Yes.
missing her or wanting to connect with her. And I thought that was really interesting.
That's interesting. She probably interfaced with the ship and the AI. And well, in this case, I would say that there was more to the story, that this person wasn't just a random abductee, that she was probably belonging on a soul level to these people in the ship. There was something, such a strong connection to feel what can be felt, sensed as a sadness. It's a separation and missing the connection. You cannot have missing a connection if you are not at firstly, feeling at home when you have this connection. She probably felt at home, felt it was the right place, and she didn't want to leave. And this was this discrepancy of energy, of frequency, I think. Oh, so interesting.
Yeah,
That's
thank
interesting.
you for the explanation. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's interesting, yeah.
And Maya has a question.
Maya has loads of questions. I'm trying to focus on one, but you brought that up, about the ship. I've experienced that firsthand, actually, flying, one of these little crafts, and oh, it's so cool.
Wonderful.
You become part of the craft and it becomes part of you. It's really neat.
Yeah.
That was just a brief experience, but wow.
What type of ship was it? Was it?
It was like
what kind of?
More like a top, actually. It was so strange. It's just like I was in a meditation, in group meditation, and I was contemplating how we flicker in and out of consciousness constantly. I thought, where am I during the out period? And I found myself in a different kind of body and going lightly into this craft, into the chair, and melding with it and taking off. And well, it was like I was the craft in a way. And there was a report of a UFO, a top-like UFO in Japan on the same night. And somebody else talking about being. So it's like, but it was just a glimpse, and it was really vivid. It was fun. And it didn't have the same human consciousness. It was just different, but it was cool. It was all right. I haven't experienced it since, but I have a question. More about what's happening now. I hope I remember this right. One of the videos, you talked about the leaders of the world coming to Antarctica, meeting with, I forgot which, the Federation or the Galactic or Intergalactic Federation, and making an agreement. Any developments on that? Because it looks like they're not sticking to it.
Well, yes, I don't know where they are at the moment with that. I know they're trying to, recall the story. Okay. Some financial elites met with representatives of the Earth Alliance and some ET groups, positivity groups like the Galactic Federation of World, for instance, in Antarctica a few months ago. And the thing was the topic of the meeting was shifting the monetary system. So they had to give back the keys of the ancient monetary system. And the keys, when I say the keys, what I've been explained, it's the magic, I don't like this word, the energy work or the work that binds this ancient system deeply into the core of the, even way more than the societies, the collective unconscious even, it's something rooting. So they need to they gave these keys to the Earth Alliance. But the thing is, they are in charge of making the transition with the Earth Alliance. The thing is, they're trying to get around this. But they're very clever, you know, they're trying to get around. The bait was, the deal was that if they do it, they won't be thrown to the wolves, the crowd, the humans, to be really, you know, punished badly and killed and whatever. They will be taken off world to a prison somewhere where they survive. And so I don't know where things are at the moment. All I know is that they are trying to push their agendas at the last minute, at the last moment, and hope for the best. That's what I know.
Yeah, hopefully there's some teeth to the agreements. That's what I'm hoping. Because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are speeding up their agenda right now.
Yeah, they try to pass everything in force, you know. But
They're
that's not
trying to
going to go
create a
well
world
for
government
them.
this month. And so that's
Yeah.
gotta be some development soon.
Yeah. It's not going to go well for them.
Yeah.
In your opinion, who was it that had this key to the monetary system?
It's different things. What I believe it's mainly magical rituals, magical work of binding of energy, you know. I think it was about procedures to, yeah, that's what I would say. I don't know more about that. Using a lot of dark black magic.
Yes.
I know that. You know, when it comes to dark magic, you want the people involved in that to undo and uncast it, not do it yourself, but because if you do it yourself, if you try to, if you want, even if you're able to, you have all the tools, and if you are going to uncast dark magic, you need to put your feet in it, and that's going to stain you, and nobody wants to do that. So they are really hoping that the bad ones are doing it, you know. That's why they are trying to get them forced by any way possible to do it themselves. At the end of the day, if they don't do it, well, but I suppose the Earth Alliance will do it, but nobody really, you know, is looking forward to that. I wouldn't like to uncast a dark magic spell, because that means I would need to contact demons, you know, the same demons that have been invoked to, you know, to bind the spell, and you need to invoke the same entities to tell them to F off, you know. So who wants to do that? I wouldn't.
A lot of people don't believe in that, but it's definitely part of the thing that's happening, I think, you know. And it's good to be aware. It's good to be aware that, you know, not everything is love and light. There's some really dark rooted
Oh God, yes.
things on this planet. But self-development is the way for each person, I think, you know, self-development.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Work by meditation and self-awareness, and work of, yeah, this kind of work. Yeah.
I was going to, thank you for reminding me. I was going to ask you about the meditation thing that you asked in the book. You asked a question. I don't remember if it was Thoran who answered it, or Anax, or I can't remember who, but it was about group meditation. And they said that they see it as little bubbles of light.
Yeah.
When people do that. Can you talk about that a little bit, Elena? That's such a beautiful thing.
Oh yes, I've actually seen it through the eyes of Thoran. Oh my God, when we all work in synchronicity, and you know that's quantum entanglement. We all bind together, and by meditation and group meditation, someone is going to lead a meditation, and everybody who listens to that is going to link via the leader of the meditation who speaks, and it's like a web, you know, with a not a spider but a good lovely crystal spider in the middle and a lovely web of light. Let's see it like that, but it works like this, and everybody is, you know, feels it and shares it, and that really imprints the hologram of the reality, the real world, with different energy, the energy that you put in through meditation, and that changes the electromagnetic grid of the earth, that has a repercussion in the etheric grid of the earth, and when it touches, it manages to alter in a positive way the etheric grid of earth. This becomes visible in the fifth density by the ETs who are above us, and they can see that. And even if they don't stand in the fifth density, they are in the third density, they have devices, you know, who can just pick it up. So one day Thorhan was standing at the window of the where he works, the mothership, and he connected to me and he said, look, there's a global meditation going on. It was in North America, and I don't know who was doing that, but there was a lot of people, and you could see, like, you know, the plasma lamps, like bubbles emerging from the ground and reaching out the upper atmosphere, and it had, I remember, like the aurora borealis at the northern light, same colors, pink and green with a little bit of gold. Sometimes it's mainly pink and green, and it was going in the upper atmosphere. And when it was reaching out, these bubbles were reaching out the etheric grid, it was like being caught by the grid and going everywhere along the lines. It was amazing. It was beautiful to see.
That's what this grid behind me is all about.
Yes,
The grid
yes,
light,
yes.
with
Totally. When we you know, what I've learned is that this grid is connected to the grid of the ley lines, you know, on Earth.
yes.
So as above, so below, as everyone knows. When if you stand on a particular node on the Earth, between a crossing of some ley lines, this has a conduit that invisible conduit that corresponds to the same. It's the same pattern in the etheric grid, and if you send high frequencies on the ground, it's going to impact the other node there and raise the frequency of the upper grid. So even if you don't stand on a node, it will anyway go and be caught by the grid. But it's nice to stand if you know some points where to sit. It's easy to find, we know, with pendulum on a map or different techniques.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maria
Oh,
Wheatley gave a course last year in that in what do you call it, dowsing, and I missed it. I couldn't take the course. I really wanted to. Do you know her work,
can
Elena?
you repeat the name, please?
Maria Wheatley.
I heard about her work. Yes, I
Yeah,
heard
she's
only good.
British, I think. She's British,
Yeah.
not Irish, but yeah, she's quite famous for the work that she does. And I was wondering, do you also do the grid work?
Yes, yes. When I meditate, you know, I always send, when I connect to who I am, my being inside, and I'm in a higher frequency, I sometimes, not every time, but often, I just send an impulse upwards, and I know it's going to be caught by the grid, and it will make a nice ripple.
Mhm. Nice, nice. Hands, let's see, who else? We have so many people here and nobody has questions. Come on, guys. Oh, Mark is here. Hello, Mark. And Angela. Oh, we have so many lovely people here. A lot of the people that are in this group, Elena, are contactees, abductees.
Wow, lovely.
A lot of us. And I'm trying to get everyone to tell their story now. So we've been doing that. Next week we're going to do Dominic's story. She's written a book. And we just had a really beautiful session with Angela, who's also here today. So I think it's wonderful that people are really able to come out and, and tell their stories, and it's the only way that we're gonna have disclosure is by everybody telling the
Yes,
things that happened to them.
we are the disclosure. Yeah, we are the disclosure. Disclosure comes from people. The actual governments won't tell anything.
Mhm.
So we'll know later, but for the moment it comes from the people. And the more the stories are told, the better it is, because it changes the consciousness and it entices others to speak,
Yes.
And well, more and more stories coming up, and the truth is coming out, which is brilliant.
Mhm.
Brilliant. We need to tell our stories.
Yeah. I remember years ago, I worked in a lawyer's firm and I was reading a book about astrology. And everybody, all the people that were in the office, they thought I was such a weirdo for reading about astrology. So we've come a long, long way into disclosure, because even that was really strange at the time,
Yes.
just believing in signs and things, and no one knew that I was
Well,
at the time.
well, if I had told my story 10 years earlier, I would have been locked up,
Yes, absolutely.
It's because the time is right. It's now, it's the Great Awakening. It has started, and it's time. People are ready to hear that. We are ready to hear these stories because we're just ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though the government UAP thing didn't work out so well, and it was really, not really that real, what it did do, and I think that was probably part of the reason, is it gave permission. It gave permission for everybody
Yeah.
to, and maybe some people
Yeah.
have NDEs still, people that are in the army and stuff, but not regular civilians. It's okay for us to speak and to speak our truth and say the things that happen to us. So
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And more we speak. Now there are too much people who have spoken. We cannot be all locked up. That's over. We've spoken too much. There are too many people now. That's it.
yeah.
We can all speak. That's it.
Now, if there's a few weirdos, there's a lot of weirdos.
I say there's a joke I say sometimes and say, yes, I'm cracked. How do you think the light gets in?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not sure who had their hand up first, but I think it was Angela.
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to say that I got another piece of the puzzle with the triangulation, and I'm just curious if she has seen this or felt this. And what it is that, when a dipole moment is when you've got a larger, stronger body, that's its electric magnetic field is strong, and you've got a smaller body that gets too close to that one. The smaller one will change its spin or its movement to match the larger one. So that's a dipole moment. And what I was shown was that the triangulation is important because there are people that have very strong electromagnetic fields in some areas or completely. And when they triangulate with others that have, ones that are weaker or, whatever, that just being around or connected intentionally or spiritually with that person, that they will flip and kind of go in the same speed. So the stronger one will help bring up the weaker one.
Yes.
And vice versa. And eventually, as we triangulate, like we've been talking about, we will all benefit from the ones that have the stronger points as we join in. And essentially that will ultimately connect to Gaia.
I totally agree with that, because the universe tends towards evolution and perfection. And when you have that's also how the med beds work for healing, for instance. It's not it's a different topic, but that's another example. When there is a weaker tissue, damaged tissue in a body, or let's say a human being with a weak energy field, if you put beside it a perfectly healthy tissue that has the same matching, or another human being, as you describe it very well, who has a stronger magnetic field, well, what is weaker or damaged will morph into matching the structure of what is healthier. That's evolution. That's how healing is done. That's how evolution is done. And in many domains. So what you describe, I totally agree with it. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because it also ties back into the secret space program stuff that I'm still uncovering, but I know there's a lot out there, and a lot of it was the healing that I was doing. And every time it happens, all I have to do is hold the person. And even when it happens now in astral with someone in the here and now that is sick, if I find them in astral and I just hold them, then they are much improved immediately.
Yeah, you transmute them. It's who said that to me recently? I think it was Thorhan. Oh no, it was his brother. It's called repairing. Repairing. I say, oh yeah, repairing. No, repairing. You pairing two things together again. That means one is going to match the other. It's you pair again something that is damaged to something that is complete. It's very interesting.
Well, Angela and I have been talking about triangulation because when I was given this meditation that's behind me, there's a long story about it, which I won't get into, but I was given this image in 1987 of the grid to make a grid around the earth, but I wasn't given the meditation until the 1st of January of this year. So all those years, we didn't have Zoom, we didn't have the things that we have now that make it possible to do global meditations. Yeah. But one of the things that that is different about this meditation is that you're supposed to do it in triangles. So you find your partners either on the astral or in physical form, and you form these triangles of light, and it forms a plasma light, actually, just exactly what you were talking about. The whole idea of this grid is that it's got a texture that's a plasma, and it's a protection for the planet.
Oh, totally, it's a shield. Yeah.
And then I met Angela, and Angela actually has her partners in the physical. She's found her partners that she does these healing meditations with. So it's pretty wonderful.
The number 3, that's why the triangle is a sacred, sacred, I said, energetic, dynamic as pattern. The number 3 is the doorway to infinity, because 3 times 3, it's 9. It's a number of infinity. So when you have 3, That's the basic structure, triangle of any shapes you can do with it.
Mhm.
So agreed. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember learning that in school when someone said, this little stool, three-legged stool, is the strongest structure you could make. I was like, what? It's like three was the
Okay.
strongest structure. That seemed to know so crazy, but yeah. Catherine, how about Catherine?
Hi. Here we go. Hello, it's so
Hi,
nice.
Kathleen.
So good to see you and meet you. Hi, Mimi. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I enjoyed your talk today. And I've had a lot of interesting experiencers too. I'm an experiencer myself. And when I have been in contact with these different types of beings, because I've been in contact with a lot of different ones, but what I noticed with them when they come here and they show up in their crafts, they do really cool things. Like one time, my cat, who was in the house, it was a kitten at the time, there was a green light in my tree and I was filming it. You know, it was moving and morphing and spinning and doing all kinds of interesting things. And then when I slowed it down and I looked through it frame by frame, in one of the pictures, I could see my kitten's face inside this little green craft. Yeah, and also underneath my kitten was like on top of the orb because it looked like an orb shape at that point. My kitten's face was right on top of it, looked exactly like him. And underneath my kitten was a face of a fairy. And then to the left of that fairy was a lion being. And it has its little head turned and it was smiling at me. And it's so cool because a week before that, I had been in a group meditation where this fairy and this lion being actually showed up in my meditation. And they gave me a little message, you know. So now they're in the craft in the tree in my yard, along with my cat, who's alive in my house, but he's able to be in the craft at the same time. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Coconut. Coconut's in the craft, but he's also in my house. And it blew my mind, you know. So I know, and then anytime I would have contact with these different crafts and stuff and the ships that would show up, my heart would be like, bzz, like buzzing, because I felt just such joy, so much happiness, so much, like I felt like I knew these beings, like they were my family, you know? So I always felt this just expansion of love. And
Well, I was
yeah.
about to say these are your I would say guides, but your family is protecting you and guiding you.
Yeah. But I didn't get a sense with that because it didn't feel, nothing about it felt artificial to me, you know, it just felt like it was part of consciousness, you know, and just the fact that my cat could do that. And like, I've had experiences where, you know, I've had a lot of different cats and dogs over my lifetime, but I find that many times I've had two cats that have been I'm a medium also. So I, you know, connect with the spirit world. So I have found a couple of my cats have been very mediumistic, you know, and they've come to me in the afterlife right after they pass. And this little guy, my little guy Coconut, he actually came to me one night shortly after he passed, and he showed me himself in this triangle craft. It was green, it was like a bright light green. And like he wanted me to know that like he's still around and he's in these crafts. And I just
That's
thought
lovely.
that was so cool. So
That's lovely. That's lovely. It's a lovely story.
yeah, but I have met people that have had a lot of abduction type experiences, and you know, when I hear some of the stories, they've been able to come to an understanding about why and what their connection is, and some of them feel like a real familiar family connection to these different beings. The ones that have had a lot of different experiences or have recall of their experiences over time tend to be less fearful of them because they've come to an understanding about them over time. The ones I feel that have only memory of one experience, like I had met a gentleman who had one very terrifying experience and he couldn't understand it at all, but he didn't really want to know anything more about, like it just, he shut down. So he's kind of fearful about it, you know? So I'm wondering, I know there's so many different species out there, right? And that can come here and, you know, connect with us through our consciousness and whatnot. They can come right through our walls. What would you tell people how to discern that? Because I would just say to feel, if you feel like it's something negative, you know, tell it has to leave, right? But what would you tell people as far as what they can do to be able to discern that?
Whereas I think fear and being forced and coerced into doing something that you don't want, if they insist, that's not good, you know? So otherwise you can feel safe. If you feel safe, do you feel safe or do you feel they are trying to get you to do something or to come with them, you know, insisting? That's red flag.
When did they stop coming here and abducting people? These grays.
They basically have stopped since about a year, but there are abductions still carrying on. And these are performed by, I believe, Earth militaries. And there's also, I suppose, you know, the space-time continuum is not really linear. It's not like this. It's moving. It's like the limit, the boundaries are not sharp. So there are still time bubbles or time kind of, yes, bubbles, I suppose, who are still active, and it's going slowly. It's disappearing. The abductions by nefarious grays are stopping. Yeah.
It's still happening.
Still happening, but in really less and less and less.
Let's see. Maya wanted to ask another question, and then Dominic.
It's all right. I also was pointing, somebody was saying there are questions in the chat as well. I guess not everybody can use a mic or whatever. So there are a bunch of questions in there too. I do have a question too, in addition. And I wanted to ask about, you know, like music and different, you know, with those, you know, Elena, you know, what kind of music, what is it like? What is their music like? And if do they like music here on Earth, and what kind?
Oh, I love this question. Oh, it's really nice. Well, it depends also on the cultures and the species, and also how they are made. You know, some have an ability to listen to certain frequencies only, and the way their auditive system is done, and some are telepathic. So it will be something that in music that you cannot hear, but that you can sense telepathically or energetically. I've seen, so I'm not able to speak about all these different types because I don't know, but I've seen music performed where the sound produced by an instrument produces like plasma floating lights that's very moving, and it's going to be multicolored, and it's moving around, and it just dissolves into the ether, and it's like the sound of coming from the instrument, but the instrument is not only an instrument, it's a device that creates these things. So it's going to create these bubbles of plasma lights moving, multicolored. The feelings are more developed, you know, the way you received the melody. I've seen that. I've heard singing and modulating. So you know how we have our songs here, they have a certain structure. You know, you have the verses and then you have the chorus. There's nothing about that. That's totally earth made, you know. It's just a continuous melody that has no structure, or a structure that we don't understand. It's very complex sometimes, or just very different, with mathematical rhythms that are not structured like ours. Then regarding the earth, they listen to our music. Sometimes it can be a bit shameful, but they listen to our music, and they have different taste. I know different ETs who have different taste about different type of music here on earth. Depends on, they listen to everything. So not to everything. There are musics on earth that they say are made to bring down the frequency of human beings. And this type of musics, of course, they do not listen to them. It's the sound, the structure, the hertz. It's to bring humanity, keep it down. Some styles of music, particularly, I think you can understand which kind of styles. That does that as well. They don't listen to that, but otherwise to everything.
And do they sing as well, or they just play musical instruments? Or
oh yeah, some human races that I've seen, yeah, play instruments, different instruments. String, I saw string instruments like kind of harps. They sing as well. Yes, they sing. Sometimes it's just voice modulation. Sometimes, yes, it's lovely.
oh, thank you.
Dominic?
Yes. Let's see. I'm an experiencer. I'm not an abductee. And I've off and on all my life been on Pleiadian ships on missions, doing different missions. And on one of my trips, I found myself on a Pleiadian mothership in an area of the ship where they were trying to rehabilitate beings who had been genetically messed with, and that there were some disastrous outcomes from the experiments of the Greys here on Earth and the Dulce base and other underground bases. And I remember trying to help with the healing process, but I was very, very upset and distressed when I was there. And I'm wondering if you have any insight or information about how those beings are healed, how they're taken care of.
Was it last year by any chance? Or?
No, it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, well, I started anyway. Yes, that's it's mainly led by Pleiadians. That's the science mothership where my friend Myra works. They have this big program of healing and rehabilitating the hybrids, victims of genetic manipulation that they can rescue from Earth. And I've seen that. I've been there. I've seen what they do with all these hybrids. There's a big, huge program. So you've science station that's totally there and totally one of their programs. Yes, they heal them. If they cannot save them or heal them, if they cannot heal them, determinate them rather than leave the creature in pain. If they cannot do anything, if it's beyond all their science, determinate the person, liberate the soul. But always they try everything they can to heal the body and make it viable to be reinserted in a society.
Are they using like sound technologies to
Yes,
heal these people or these beings?
yes, yes, yes. They put them. There are two sets of kind of call it medbed. She Myra was calling them differently. Bio something pods. Anyway, biomedical pods, something like that. But the first they repair the consciousness. They scan the consciousness. They see who's in it, what type of soul it is, and regarding to the type of soul, they're going to adapt different methods in to the regarding the frequency, the signature of the frequency signature of the soul. And then they put the body in a different pod where the body, the biological body is going to be scanned and see the different DNAs that are entering in the compound, the hybridization. And now, then, once they have all the frequency codes of all the DNAs, they are going to repair by using sound frequencies. It's embedded in the pod, and it's going to send very targeted sound frequencies to certain areas of the body to either deactivate certain DNA or either enhance others. They use sound frequency. Yes, yes, you've been there. Yeah.
So interesting. I have to say something really strange now.
We've been saying strange things since hours.
Well, like I said, I have
More
been
strange.
through COVID for the last 9 days. And yesterday, my kitty sat on me, and I had the feeling that if I listen to, I don't know what hurts the purring is, but he sat with me, and I just got into the rhythm of his purring. And because I had a very asthmatic kind of sound happening with my breathing, I just tried to get in sync with the cat, the purring with the cat. And when I woke up today, I was a lot better. And I felt like he came to heal me. It was weird. I felt weird about it, but I did it anyway because that was the message that I was getting from the cat, is that he was gonna, to get into that rhythm with the purring. And I did, and I'm not wheezing today. And I was wheezing all these 9 days. Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive. Yes, because the frequency of the purring, which I don't know, by the way, it's a healing frequency. It's they heal themselves by purring. The purring does a lot of things. In fact, what the purring does, it transmutes the energy. Some frequencies, I mean, it transforms some with frequencies. So I
Yeah,
love that
it
story.
was really wonderful. He was
Wow.
with me he never
Wow.
does that, but he was purring at me for about an hour, and then he left, you know.
Wow.
So thank you, Kitty.
Wow.
His name is Rocky.
Thank you, Rocky.
Rocky the healer.
Yeah. Angela, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I have because you had so many stories and you've got so much information. I had last winter, a year ago, I had met beings that I had never seen before. And essentially the experience was that I was able to bodily feel a reptilian shift into a human form with my entire body. And at the end of the experience, and it was a really positive, good experience, there was no fear or anything weird. But I asked what was the purpose of this, and he said that they just want to be accepted in all of their forms, and then continued to say that they are
Ooh.
I want to run this past you, and that they are infiltrated everywhere, And when the time comes that they will fight for us, they will fight against their own for us. So essentially,
No.
and they said a lot of this has already taken place. So
No,
what
that's
he's,
no.
well,
That's how they do. That's deception. They try to
that's,
get you to consent. It's the same thing as the Greys. It's the same thing. They trick. They're great deceivers. The greatest deceivers are the Greys, but the Reptilians are skilled in that as well. No, it was something to trick you into accepting and welcoming Reptilians. No. No,
okay,
I
so
think you, yeah,
when
I don't have a good feeling about that.
yeah, I know, because it's very confusing because, you know, from everything we
Yeah.
hear, they're supposed to be bad. But when they're saying some of them
No.
want to ascend, some of them want out, you know, from their groups and things like that. But when I have like a pilot in a ship taking me somewhere and they look like these in their human form. They're very beautiful. They're very big men, you know, and if I've seen several of that type of being that look human. So, I mean, at what point are they trying to glom onto something that I recognize and mimic that? Or is that pilot one of them all along? You see what I'm saying? Because I've never felt anything
Yeah.
ugly about any of it, but I've never
Yes.
seen these like this before. And the particular being that was involved with them was, or I call it a tall white, but it's, I guess, considered a gray, but it was completely white. It was very big and just different from the typical grays that we see, the little ones and the taller ones. It's even bigger.
Very, very slim and
The
elongated skull a little bit.
No, the skull was big,
No.
and more
Yeah.
round in the back, and it had two big lobes on the lower part of the back of the skull. But when you see the ones with the very sort of tight mouth, tight-lipped mouth, like they're kind of scowling or disappointed, like a professor, you know what I mean? Their mouth and their nose is all kind of pulled together in the front, and they have a really big head. You see a lot of
Did
pictures
it?
drawn this way.
Yeah. Did it look? Did it have wrinkles everywhere? A bit wrinkles.
Not particularly. The ones that I saw that were really wrinkly were very small, and they were more medical, you know, doctor types with the hoods on.
Okay, no, that's a gimbal. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't sound bad to me.
And they were
I was
working
thinking
together.
about the Keely Tuckert. So yeah, it depends. So these reptilians were with them.
Yes, they were working together. And when they're in their human form, they're bodyguards, they're security, they're pilots.
Okay.
And they're protecting these big white beings.
Reptilians shapeshift very easily into They can shift into anything human, humanoid form. I mean, a trunk, two arms, two legs, and a head. Anything that has this shape, they can shapeshift. They can mimic Pleiadians, Alpha Centaurians. They can mimic humans very well. So nobody on the, I know the Galactic Federation of World doesn't work with shape-shifting reptilians.
Interesting. Okay.
So the thing is, because I don't have all the elements of your story, what you say to me is effectively confusing, but I would, by prudence, I would be always keep a critical mind. Prove that it's not bad, you know. But the thing to do is also the behavior. Do they want something for you, or do they want you to accept, to agree some type of agreement? That's not good.
Yeah, no, it was
Or
just a
maybe
demonstration.
not,
And they
nothing.
wanted to see how fearful I would be or not be. I was in complete control. At any moment, if I changed my mind, I was free to go. But I continued to explore.
Or they were testing your fear. They were testing your fear.
Yes, at any, not that they're testing my fear, but at any moment, if I wanted to leave or stop, the exploration, it would have been done. I would have been able to just go.
Okay.
So they followed
What
my
if
lead in that.
it is? Mhm. Ask them to show themselves truly to you. You know, you can trick them as well. Or no, maybe it's positive, but you know, I'm very prudent. I'm very careful. Ask them maybe next time, I'm ready now to see you exactly how you are. Show yourself to me how
That's a
you
good,
really are.
yeah.
Put them in trust. You said, be calm. And like if you trust them and say, I'm ready. Now I'm ready to see you as you really are. I allow you to show yourselves to me now. You know, try that.
That reminds me of something that you said a little while ago, and maybe this relates to Angela as well, because Angela just did a demonstration with us the other day. And it seems to me that she has a lot of reptilian genetics from some of the evidence she brought forward, right?
Yeah.
A lot of personal evidence. And one of them was with her eyes, a reptilian kind of thing that happens with her eyes. So what if a person has these genetics in them? Like you were saying, there's 22, but maybe I have 5, or maybe I have 2 main ones and, a little bit of 3 others. So what happens when a person has like a lot of reptilian genetics, say, and then they're being contacted by reptilians that say, we're fighting for you? I mean, how do you navigate this?
Yeah, reptilians don't fight for us. But yeah, because you're a hybrid. What we all have, many of us have a little bit of reptilians because you've had the Naga before everyone else who came to Earth and put their DNA in the primates as well. We have also had many abductions by reptilians and hybridization going on for a very long time.
Mhm.
That's done. It's in the genetics that you inherit. But when it's very strong and you have shape-shifting abilities, you are more likely to be a hybrid, a proper hybrid, that one of your parents, well, probably your mother, was abducted and fertilized with reptilian genetics to give a baby a really strong human reptilian genetics. And the soul that is in it is still human. It's just a normal human soul, but the body, the genetics, is going to be reptilians. That will allow, because DNA is frequency, that will allow the reptilians to be in contact with this person very easily by frequency resonance, DNA resonance, and probably use this person for certain agendas or get something, that this person to do something, or maybe not, maybe this person will be meant to reproduce and have children and inject the reptilian DNA more prominently in the human race. So that's why in this certain case, for instance, Angela's case, maybe Angela, you are a hybrid, which would explain a lot of things, and they want just, maybe you are a product of an experiment, and they want to observe you and just see how it's going. Maybe it's just maybe that, and you feel a connection with them, and that would explain that you feel safe, or you feel kind of at home because you have this in you. And but then it's just asking them questions, and what do they want from you? What do they want? What's the point? You can ask these questions. Am I a hybrid? Am I related to you people? Are you part of my family? Why are you connecting with me? Show me your real face. Try to get to know more. What do you expect me to do? You know, do you have messages you want me to transmit? All these things. It's like questioning them. You have the contact, you know, so it's interesting to question them and going from there and see what's the crack, what's happening. Well, we say in Ireland, what's the crack, what's happening? The crack means the fun. So the other day I was saying that, what?
That's really interesting because the first time I had an awake encounter with the Greys, you know, the little ones that we think of and the little taller ones, I was 8 years old and they were surrounding my bed and I was wide awake and they were very proud of me. They were so proud of me for making it here. They were so excited that I made it.
You're a
And
hybrid.
they gave me all
Yeah,
these instructions on how to protect my body and my biology and all of these things on how to live my life. And when I was born, my mom got very sick and had to stay in the hospital. I went home before she did. And I don't know. So there were some circumstances that I've always questioned, even if, you know, I had a near-death experience at birth because of circumstances, you know, if possibly I was a walk-in at that point. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Yes, you may, but one thing sure is your biological body, I call it the flesh suit, I like that, is a hybrid reptilian probably. So, but you inside, you are a human soul. Well, I just can sense it. To me, it's evident, like everyone else here. But the body is interesting. It's interesting because it connects you to some reptilian beings. Now, who are they? What do they want? What's the purpose of that? Is that just an experiment and they're watching you grow and, you know, or is there another purpose they want you to do, you know? So just ask them now. You say, I'm ready, you know, and that's interesting.
Get back to us on that.
And you know, something I noticed, Angela, I've noticed every time I've seen reptilian human hybrids, they're beautiful. They are very, very handsome. And I see your photo, you're very beautiful. So that's another element. That's it.
Thank you. I do have a lot of experiences that involve Orion, and having been on ship a couple of years ago, there was a star pattern out of the window, and I was given time to really memorize that pattern. And within a week or so, I was able to find it. And the large star in the pattern was Alnilam, which is the center belt star of Orion. And then it was the stars that are specific around that. And I was there on ship with this giant blonde man named, well, I called him Red Thor. And he gave me the biggest hug and was so happy to see me. And my hybrid daughter was on the ship, and then her parents were there. And they were normal human sized and completely human looking. And then this Thor guy was a good 2 feet taller than them.
Oh, wow, that's an Nor Pleiadians, yes. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. I love that. Al-Nilam, it's the siege of the Council of Five. It's a very important place. Very, very positive.
That's amazing. Because I mean, I've tried to piece these things together. I only really started researching about 2 years ago when I was on ship that trip. I said, that's it. I need to know who these people are, because I was taken on ship at 15 and shown the new Earth, and they wanted to know how I felt about it. And I'm all my life thinking, who am I that they want my opinion on this?
You obviously, this tall Nor man is your partner, or maybe twin flame, we don't know, is your husband or partner.
Yeah, it was very evident because of what I said to him when he picked me up and hugged me. I said to him, and apologize, but I said, and I used my own voice out loud because I wanted to prove to myself I was really there and not telepathically speaking. And I spoke in his ear when he held me. I said, I am in need of some serious sex. So that to me, you know, says that we're not related other than, you know, in a personal way, that way, not as a family, but as lovers or, you know, like that.
Yeah, yeah, you are probably the same species. Well, your soul who's inside this body. Yes, yes. Wow. Really.
Wow. You
Yeah,
didn't
that was
tell
a
us
little
about
shocking
that
that
last
I said
time,
this
Angela.
out loud. I'm embarrassed to say it, but that's, you know, that tells a lot that I felt that I had the right to say that to him, kind of don't put parameters around our relationship. So
Mhm.
Yes, that's interesting. That's interesting.
What do the Council of Five do?
What do? They try to help balance in the galaxy by they work more on an energetic level and the frequency level in the galaxy to rebalance energies of frequency. For instance, they are going to work on a part of the space where the frequency is very low. The density, is very low. The density is rate of frequency anyway. It's very low, and they are trying to raise it by different techniques. So they do that. They also fight the Orion Nebu group, the tall grays. They are their enemies as well. Well, also the grays have a lot of enemies. So they do different things to help population to protect the populations against them, but they are not a military institution such as the Galactic Federation of Worlds. The Council of Five works on higher density. Most of them are 6 density and more. They will so they have a program on Earth and on other places. It's linked to the Envoy program, or which we call Starseed. They will look after the starseeds. They will help starseed, a lot of starseeds, or Envoy, to incarnate. So they will guide them. They will help them to find a host body, and just linked them to the fetus, you know. And they do that, and then they will take care of. They do a lot of education of ship schools. There's a lot of people who remember having been as a child on starship schools. And in the
Yes.
night, kids are going on ships, and they are taught and trained in different things. That's the Council of Five that does that. And they hire different races to do that, you know, because they are not only 5 races, they work with other races. So school ships is the Council of Five. They do that a lot. They're very involved in the Envoy program.
Angela has her hand up. Did you mean to have your hand up, Angela?
yeah, she had said something, Elena, you said about the working on the balancing the frequencies in the lower density areas. And that's interesting because the same time all of these other things were happening, I received a series of symbols in white gold light. And the last symbol was, well, let me just start. The first symbol was the female large domed head with the gold crown. That was a greeting. And the second symbol was 3 pyramids with a triangulated eagle atop the 3 pyramids. And that was Nibiru. And I'd never heard that before. I didn't know what it meant. And then the next one was the Native American oval with the 4 feet, the turtle shape, that is the earth. And it had a line coming out of it up into the above it. And then there were 2 lines crossing it. And that was the earth raises the war off herself where it is transmuted by light in the heavens. And then the next symbol was a stepped pyramid with the wings on top and the circle with the dot in the middle above that in between the wings, and that was balance restored. And this was a reset story that I was given, and the subsequent symbols came that tied into that, about the pattern of the frequency of the energy of the earth during a coming event, and et cetera, et cetera. But when you had said about balancing energies, it's interesting because I got that whole story about balance being restored.
Wow, wow. And Al Nilam, yes, the seizure of the Council of Five. And you know, the Nibiru is accessed by, it's in the Orion zone, and you can access it by the portal. So it's there. And maybe the three pyramids were the representing Orion, maybe. I don't know, just suppositions. That's very interesting. But you know, when you receive codes, they are for you to decrypt and use. Nobody else can. So that's a work you have to do, and that's you know, because by intuition you know what they mean, and you really are the only person able to decrypt them.
It would make sense if we're working on grids and energies and connecting things so it works. That makes sense that I would be from there or involved there and getting this information here. And like I said, we talk about it so we can put our intention on it and help it happen.
Hey everybody, it's 5:11, and it's
start to be it's 1:15 here, but start to be a little bit tired. But you know what, I'd continue because it's so interesting. Oh my God, I'm having fun, but I'm tired. I'm having fun, but
well, you have to come back then, Elena. You're invited.
That's it.
Back
That's
many
it.
times.
My pleasure, and then I look forward to hear more about the stories of the people I've interacted with. You know, let's do that in a few months' time, or a month or two, or whenever you want. I'm really really happy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elena. It was really great to meet you, and I'm so happy that you came and talked to everybody. A lot of people didn't say anything, so I'm just gonna say, anybody, if you want to say something, this is your chance before Elena leaves us.
Thank you, Elena. It's been delightful. I've enjoyed your company so much. Thank you.
And I'm gonna say thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to meet you for over a
Likewise.
year. So happy that it finally got to meet you. Big hugs. I feel like thank you.
It's so nice to meet you and to hear your story and to be with you on the Zoom platform tonight. Thank you.
Yes,
my pleasure.
very
My
much.
pleasure.
Many blessings.
Very blessing. Thank you, everyone, and to the next time, maybe.
Yeah.
So bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Namaste.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Hope you enjoyed yourselves as much as I enjoyed it.